to see now. Sea of Tranquility.
We'll tell you what, there's nothing tranquil about KIX's defense though, because they're not running the Zenyatta here. It's going to be double supports with Sonny on the Brigida and also Jazzy on the Ana, but it is also the double turret setup, in fact the triple turret setup if we're including the Orisa here, with notably the Bastion defense. So for Talon, are they going to try and take this head on with this Ryan Goetz, or do they want to swap the dive?
I mean, this is something that Talon have played and beaten before. Cyclone Coupling were big proponents of this exact defense last season. Talon should know how to deal with this. For now, they're just going to stick to Ryan Goetz to make it happen.
That was old Talon. This is new Talon now. So how does the new version stack up? And so far, they want to take it head on. You already do see the rotations coming through on KIX. Xinjiang's going to move the Bastion slightly further back.
Yeah, and a 4-person biotic grenade out of Jazzy actually really helps stop Talon in their tracks there. Good catch on the turret. Helps just mitigate that crossfire for a moment until Casper can get that set back up.
Talon do need to move right now because they don't want to wait till the turret goes back in.
Oh, nice displacement. Just forces Talon back that half step. They take a few extra licks of damage, but it's not going to matter. They're still able to close with KIX and pick off the key members, the Orisa, the Bastion, and now the rest just start to crumble. Bravelav picks out. You already see Wusik swapping to Reinhardt. He knows what's happening. The writing's on the wall there. Talon in a cap point A. KIX now need to figure out how they're going to defend point B.
You need to see a lot more value coming through from the Bastion pick as well, which is now being quickly swapped off for the Lucio as KIX getting ready for that B point defense, and they don't have a lot of ultimates to play with. Talon Esports are going to be snowballing through, and for KIX, a bit of a blunder onto A now needs to be transformed into success on B.
Talon have a lot of ultimates. This should be a big snowball for them. Sound barrier first because they want to get aggressive. Immediately finding Sonne, and they're going to cut off all the rest of these members long before they're able to get ultimates. Bravelav gets the closest, does at least get a self-destruct out, but should have no trouble avoiding any deaths from that one. Already rounding that final third. Talon might just get this in one fell swoop. Last hurrah from Xinjiang. Bao going to get picked off and self-destruct. Closes off Jazzy and Sonny to secure the point from Talon in a splendid time.
And this is where, if you're Talon Esports right now, you're knocking on the front door, but nobody's home, so you're charging on through, barreling on through the entire point. 6:09 time remaining. They got the entire map done in 1 minute and 51 seconds all up. And this is part of the issue for KIX, where on that A defense, because they didn't get return trays, they did not stop the side of Talon whatsoever, who had no issues getting themselves directly onto that B point, cashing in those ultimates that they had banked up. And for KIX, they basically only had a rally, which was used, and then Sonny died straight away.
And again, it feels like KIX are landing the right things, like 4-man biotic grenade as Talon come up the stairs. Huge halt onto almost all the members of Talon, which should have been enough time to get that extra bit of damage in, but in reality, as much as they might connect these big high catch rate abilities, they're never closing out the kills necessary.
Part of the reason is because they got the hook down into the water, but Talon are not biting. If you do land the 4-man bio-nade, Talon haven't committed yet. They can back out. KIX have no ability to actually dive on and commit on through Talon Esports. They're waiting for Talon to come in first, land the bio-nade afterwards. Talon then cannot get out. Then you can start reeling them in. Right now, KIX, they're trying to get something in, and they're just getting boots.
And you got to compliment Talon's decision-making there as well, by the way, to all get hit by that biotic grenade and immediately wheel back. No hesitation. Same deal with the halt. Snap decision-making to go. We haven't taken enough damage for this to be a problem. Let's keep committing. We worried about communication and language on this team. It seems that, honestly, they're operating a pretty tight ship.
This is where for Talon as well, no funny business. It's going to be the 3-3 Goats, the Winston variety on defense. Very popular, as we've seen in the Overwatch League. And for KIX, it's going to be the Rhine version as they try and get up the stairs.
Bravelav nearly got a little bit caught out in that rotation, but he's going to be just fine as now KIX make their way up the stairs.
And why do you keep your eyes onto Muse here? 44% so far on the Tesla cannon with that ultimate charge. If you can get an early primal range, this is where Talon Esports can get a big advantage.
This is kind of that one opportunity you get with the Winston over the Reinhardt before that Earth Shatter is a big factor. You need to get high charge. Oh dear, but Bravelav finds him. Casper's a little bit low, ends up going down to his own right click there. Jazzy finds CQB, but dies for his trouble. And this is now a really, really messy fight due to the loss of Casper. In going down though, so no supports for Talon. And remember, Muse is still not quite back with the team, but Aputo finds one. He's got pretty high charge, and Wusik's taking a lot of pain here. Gogora's got a self-destruct as well. He's going to finish off WuSik and still hasn't needed to use the self-destruct. Finally uses it now. Apudo has gone down, but this has actually given Talon time to get back to the point thanks to CQB. Now Muse back in on the Reinhardt. They're looking to regroup, and KIX is starting to pull back a tad.
We need to start looking at momentum here because KIX still do have a couple of kills coming through. They need a few more. Talon should not be able to get any return trades. Talon is starting to notice they are not getting return trades and must now back out. The point will finally be capped, but not at no cost. It will not be a big snowball through. Talon Esports have defensive ultimates. They have a Graviton Surge.
Yeah, they got just enough that they should be relatively safe on the defense here, assuming they don't horribly misplay. That being said, KIX actually do come in with an ultimate advantage, strictly speaking. Nice early grab, though. Catch them in the rotation. He's going to get the Transcendence out. Enen's actually going to commit his Transcendence as well. Maybe a little bit overzealous there. This is now no kills either way. Sound barrier, they want to commit here. KIX. Shatter comes out. That's a good chunk of members caught, but not quite getting the quick follow-up they are after. Nez finally won on Xing Jianbao. He's going to be the first casualty at the fight. Talon off the back of that, looking to isolate WuSik on the point. Will be able to finish him off, and that should flag the retreat for KIX.
And this is where, once again, you're seeing Talon Esports pull that trigger early, knowing that they have ultimates to use, knowing that it is KIX trying to get momentum through onto B. Talon not allowing that, buying themselves time to get more ultimates online. That first grab coming through from Apudo, so crucial. Himself now building up a second Graviton Surge. Apudo's gotten that in the space of a single fight, and KIX still haven't really seen that cap on B yet.
Also, speaking of lapping, Muse halfway to another Shatter with WuSik only just coming up on his first since they've started trying to hit point B. There's going to be an early grab out. Nice drill down on Apudo. Just barely gets his grab out in the nick of time. Beautiful placement from Gagora is enough to find Sonny and Bravelav's mech, and that's going to give Talon the numbers advantage they need to start steering this fight clear as Apudo comes back up. Shatter comes out, not the greatest, not really able to get much follow-up off it, but it's enough. They finish off WuSik, Casper's in full retreat, and a few other members to boot go down. Talon charge up some ultimates for it, and they're going to continue holding.
And this is where for KIX, the opportunity to get a good time is well and truly gone. It's already 4 minutes and 36 seconds counting down, 6:09 on the side of Talon Esports. KIX should be focused on just trying to finish this map, pushing us into any sort of time back that they can afford. They need more ultimates. Casper can finally now get a Graviton Surge where Apudo does not have one. WuSik might be able to get an Earth Shadow where Muse doesn't have one, but likely they're both equal. Talon do not have ultimates, and this is time for KIX to strike.
This is going to be an interesting moment. Oh, early casualty, Xing Jianbao, and they catch Sonny too. That's going to be all she wrote for this fight, really. Nice counter trade from WuSik. Look, it's something, you'll take it. KIX do still have some ultimates in pocket, but that was really critical for Talon. They needed that time, that extra fight win to finish charging that Shatter and grab.
You can see there as well the same kill box Talon Esports have consistently used against KIX. As they're starting to see the offense barreling through, they're able to just stop them in that small section before the point is open, where KIX cannot actually put themselves on top of the point. Talon Esports aggress towards them and stop them in their tracks.
A little bit tougher this time around, though. Different approach, and Gagora has no mech. That means that grab's a free connection. Shatter comes out in response, though, and Sonny and WuSik immediately picked from it. That's how you do it. Take notes, WuSik. You land the Shatter, follow it up, and that is a clean and easy fight for Talon, and that was without Gagora's mech.
And that's a defensive Shatter coming through from Muse as well. What it does is stop the approach from KIX entirely, who used their grab, comboed up with a self-destruct. They couldn't walk forward because Muse spots the opening, drops a bunch of KIX members on top of the ground. Muse also then turns around, blocks out most of the self-destruct, only losing one member on that Talon side, and they've successfully defended yet again. KIX just trying to get something done here, but they have not even received a single tick.
What they've got here is some good defensive ultimates, though. They have a good setup for this fight. They just need to not let Talon play their game.
Killbox. Watch this.
And here it is. Just trying to catch them around the side. Big chunks on Bravelav. This time KIX have made it to the point. Talon, no, they can't quite go full-fledged in a fight. There's the Shadow, but
one man
follow up, and it only got Gagora for that matter. Sound barrier out, and that's double defensive ultimates for KIX, so suddenly all of those ultimates they had have found nothing. CQB gets a pick, and now Talon rotate into their ultimates again. Talon just getting to play to the beat of their own drum.
Not only that, but they were able to catch a few members here. You can see KIX trying to back out, but they're not going to be able to. Talon have just read their number time and time again. We talk about this section of the map where Talon are able to consistently trap KIX, and we see this now rotation from KIX on that left side. Talon say, if you want to rotate in that direction, we're going to meet you at that exit. Whatever you want to do, you will not touch that point. And Talon Esports time and time again have just completely caught KIX up in a small corner of the map where they are not allowed to touch the point.
Now Talon just back, back on top with the ultimates. That high GDP, solid economy. That's a bit of a whiff shatter though out of Muse. That's a decent absorption from KIX there, who are starting to charge up some ultimates now.
This is the nightclub on the moon with very high level security. Talon Esports saying IDs please, and it's all KIX members underage, not allowed on top of that point, trying to get in.
Same movement, and they all end up in a grab. The barrel forward from Muse, they get members, they absolutely disintegrate. KIX just same thing over and over again, and now I wouldn't be surprised if we see a similar thing, just KIX will have a few more ultimates but still play right into Talon's hand.
And it's getting worse and worse as well. This offense is slowly running out of juice. In fact, it's basically out of steam now. You can start to see the ultimates really getting themselves down. Still though 4-2, just the one so far from Talon. If this is not the fight for KIX, no fight will be.
And they've opted to wait it out with Bravelav remeching. That's actually going to cost them. And they're still trying to make a bit of approach here. Bravelav nearly back in that mech, but this is really dicing with the devil here. Bump down, Woosik's isolated. Bravelav picked. No safety of the shield. Woosik not going to be able to reach.
No more time.
And KIX absolutely hugely punished for the lack of patience there. And now with only 25 seconds left, as they are currently getting wiped, they will not have time for an effective final fight.
Talon is sensing the weakness here. They know there's not a lot of time left, so if they can catch the spawning members of KIX, they can stop them from even contesting in the overtime. It's about 6 ultimates for KIX, but no one's there to really contest.
And Talon are going to force them to fight through all of this ground. They have to use the Transcendence just to touch the point. That's a nice charge in though onto Muse, separated from the team, and CQB dead. They've finally found an opening here. KIX, the moment they had to pick the go button, they do actually punish Talon's positioning a little bit there. Now coming out from a Pluto layered in with a self. The respawn is going to be hard to get kills though with that shield up. Gagoric down. They finished off Casper, and that just could be the beginning of a defense. And still gets picked. Talon, they still need to survive for these respawners. Muse comes in with a shatter, but he's going to be following it up solo, and that's only if he commits and connects, which he does not. Now Gagoric coming back in on Wrecking Ball. Still no extra kills for Talon. Still a lot of deaths coming through. KIX looking like they're poised to close it out. Now Gagoric down. Need to finish off Muse. They've managed to do that, and it's just in left.
I think it's
should be able to get it. It's got to be theirs here. Massive overtime, but it will be KIX finally getting it over the line.
And I gotta say, one thing you do have to read into here is what happens in a desperation scenario. You can read a lot about how a team responds, how they want to play. You can really get a good feel for what makes a team in these very dire scenarios. And when things get really tough for KIX here, they're able to walk past most of that defense, that forward defense of Talon Esports, to get stopped towards that point. Transcendence used by Jazzy just to initiate the overtime. The big problem for Talon Esports though is, despite being able to lock up most of the KIX in the spawn, they didn't actually pick up the kills as the rotation was coming through for that final contest. What you did see is 2 members of Talon actually went down as they tried to chase members heading towards the point. Talon Esports weren't sure, were they supposed to commit outside the point? Were they supposed to chase the members and stop the overtime cap from going through? 2 split decisions from Talon Esports ends up costing 2 of their members, ends up costing them the point.
Yeah, KIX kind of created a good bit of chaos there. They did benefit from. That being said, the unfortunate reality here is they have effectively lost the series anyway. This will at best go to a draw, which would leave KIX down 2-0 as we go into the 4th and what would be final map, and their best result would be a 1-2 against Talon. And that's to say nothing of the fact that they now have to hold point A for more than 6 minutes. Talon did it in one push in their initial phase. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a similar thing here. KIX really have their work cut out for them.
Talon have all the time to play with as well. They can do any number of strategies they like. And so far, it's been an out-rotation. KIX too slow.
And now suddenly KIX are the ones trying to run towards the point as Talon starts slowly backing up towards it. CQB does die in that movement though, which does slow down the speed of things. Bravolav the-mechs, and Bashful's really starting to get underway now. Decent hook in, quick barriers, but the rest of the team has already dropped like flies. Shatter just to finish off Jazzy, make it look impressive. And a coalescence for good measure. That's going to be the third. Finished out Talon without really breaking a sweat there. Are going to close out their first series win in this first season of Contenders for 2019. Now it's all for the marbles on the fourth map.
And it's not without the effort there as well. It's not without the difficulty. You do see their KIX able to complete the map on Horizon, which you'd expect to have been a 3-1 victory instead of a 2-1 victory instead of this 3-2 that we do see on the scoreboard here. There's still now a full 3 maps that Talon have collected, which do allow them to get this match victory. But at the same time, KIX towards the end there, showing some signs of life.
I've got to say, though, on the side of KIX, that, again, it's one of these real heartbreaker things. They were basically 50-50 coming into fights favored or unfavored for that point B offense that took them so much time. They would come into a fight where Talon would have ultimates. Predictably, they would lose that one. That's no surprise. And they'd actually do a good job of getting ultimates out of Talon and charging up ultimates of their own. Then they would come into the next fight with an ultimate advantage and lose that one too. And again, it is this endemic problem. I don't know what it is about this team, but all the bits are there. There's these really good things about the team. There'll be good plays. There'll be good connection on ultimates. They're playing a good economic game. Getting those ultimates out of Talon while charging up your own is exactly what you want to do in that Goats v Goats mirror. But then they're not actually winning the fights that they should win. Or they'll connect to big ultimate and not actually get the kills that they should get. And I'm not sure what keeps chronically going wrong there, but that's what's ultimately costing them.
But part of that is also Talon being able to outplay. We did see the best example of which would be the grab into self-destruct combo coming in onto B, counted out by a single shatter from Muse, who then was able to turn around and then block that self-destruct for the most part as well. Another good example of KIX losing in fights where really they should be massively ahead. We can see the second to last push onto B, 6 ultimates, or at least 5 ultimates. Bravolav getting instantly demeched into another member going down. Things like that really shouldn't be happening when you're that far ahead. You're still able to let Talon Esports find these picks when they really shouldn't be allowed to.
Yeah, and it's tough, right? It's tough on the whole, but on the whole, I think what is fair to say about KIX here is, like, there are a lot of good things going on in this team, and this is a team I would like to see go away after tonight, no matter what happens in this map 4, because of course we aren't actually done with the series yet. There is still an opportunity to recover a little bit, you know, regain some of the dignity, if nothing else, actually pick up a map win here, which would be a good start to the season for these newcomers, these rookies. But on the whole, like I said, I'd like to see them go away and look at what's not working here, really get to the bottom of that. It feels like there's actually not that much this team really needs to fix to look quite impressive. Most of it's already there. It's just the little bits that aren't are costing them utterly.
So I'd like to take a look at this final fight as well. You can see there Jazzy with the Transcendence coming through, and this is where, if you are Talon Esports, you're expecting to pick up a couple of kills. There's a lot of members, the chaos that you started to see here as well. Big charge coming through from Wusuk, actually mispositions Muse entirely. Then Bravolav with a self-destruct taking down CQB. So in this entire time, 2 members go down super early from Talon, and then KIX were able to actually consolidate on top of the point, force that 6 versus 4, all the while Talon should have been ahead.
And there was some really neat little passages of play in there as well. Bravolav committed his grav, caught a good Bravolav, yeah, caught 3 members in it, and Talon did the thing you do when 3 members are caught in a grav. They committed Transcendence. They went to rescue the members. But Bravolav wasn't interested in kills. He walked right on past them, went straight to the point. Suddenly, Talon approached the point. Muse had already been isolated and picked off. They'd already lost CQB to a self-destruct. They just used Transcendence. They walked into a 4 versus 6, and they weren't actually better off for ultimates anymore. Yeah, it cost KIX some ultimates to get into that position, notably the self-destruct and grab, but it created a really neat play for them where they actually went into a very favorable situation.
So let's see going into map 4 now, which is going to be the escort game mode if we see Talon able to shape up on some of the mistakes, or if KIX can really get one back. Let's go ahead and find out how escort works.
Welcome to Watchpoint Gibraltar. This is escort. 2 teams face off as either defenders or attackers. This is the payload. The attacking team has a limited amount of time to escort the payload along a set path containing 3 checkpoints. The payload only moves forward when an attacker stands near it. Defenders can delay the payload's movement by standing nearby at the same time. To get moving again, attackers must clear away the defenders by force. Every time the payload reaches a checkpoint, the attackers score 1 point and gain additional time on the clock. If even one attacker is near the payload when the clock runs out, the game enters overtime. This extends play indefinitely until the attackers are either cleared off the payload or they gain more time by reaching a checkpoint. The round ends when the payload reaches the destination or when time runs out. Teams switch sides each round. Whichever team scores the most points and escorts the payload farthest wins.
Watchpoint Gibraltar will be the 4th map as well, and so we have to look back on the series. Talon, of course, have officially won first of 3 maps. They've achieved that goal, but the last one, like you said, it is for a little bit of pride, and for a team like KIX, they want to be able to get something in here. They do not want to start their first week, their first match, 0-4.
And I dare say Watchpoint Gibraltar is a map where we could see a bit more variation in team comps as well. It's not to say that your 3-3 isn't effective here. It absolutely is, of course, but this is more to speak to the side of Talon. Again, this caliber of DPS players that they've got on this team, this is actually a map where you really want to unlock some of these guys. You've got some really good sightlines for heroes like Widowmaker, arguably even Ashe, if that is something this team does run. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but you know, we know Aputo's got a strong Widowmaker. We know they've got these picks in the pocket that they could use, and I'm curious to see if they choose to here.
And the thing is, we have seen the double sniper come through from Talon Esports on Sanctum on the polls, so going to Gibraltar, this is another good double sniper map even in this meta. It would be the perfect time for Talon to debut that again.
So we come to the mouth of the Mediterranean, just across from Morocco and Spain. It's actually Britain, but anyway, Talon and KIX are gonna meet up one last time, duke it out, see who gets to claim the rock.
Both teams want to start with the Sombra here as well. Casper and Aputo just scouting out their opponents, looking for the right targets to hack in this opening engagement.
And it's interesting to see the mirror match up here. So it's not quite the, the snipers and things that we maybe could have seen out of Talon, but they are moving into some DPS-oriented picks. And a real arms race happening between Aputo and Casper.
I think Aputo might have been caught here. You actually see he dropped the translocator right in front of Wusik, who says, I'm just going to kill you where you stand.
Well, Casper finds himself subject to the same fate. Now Wusik himself taking some pain. So Talon have actually been able to still get distance. And Aputo is the closer respawn as well. Nice pick on Jazzy. And now Gagora finishes off Wusik at last. Talon should just be able to roll on forward here.
And it's the same story repeating itself over and over again for Talon Esports. They're able to just overcome any of the small disadvantages that come through. For KIX, not able to capitalize on that. They have the one-player lead, which equally gets equalized very soon.
Yeah, like you said, a tale as old as time. Boy meets girl. Girl gets pushed off cart and point A gets capped by boy. I don't know. I don't watch many movies. But that's going to be a good rack of kills actually coming through on the defense.
Piece available.
KIX. They've finally evened up this trade sequence and indeed come ahead in it now in getting picked off. So nice turn around there, KIX, showing that they're not out just yet.
And that last section of the map as well, or rather the last section of that A defense is very favorable for KIX. They do have a close respawn to that location. Talon Esports much further away, but now resources are going to be a factor for both sides. Ultimates very much available, equal ultimates for the most part as well. Who's going to pop the EMP first? Who's going to get the better EMP?
It's interesting because they're both looking for it, but honestly, Aputo's got a better angle on it, I was going to say. It's just too huge. Gagora gets 3 for that. That's really high efficiency as well. It's exactly what you want. And it feels that Talon played better around the fact that Casper had EMP than KIX did around Apudo's EMP.
And the way Apudo plays Sombra as well, it's the same energy as just getting that knife and buttering the toast on all the edges, making sure you got the perfect coverage, gets all the available members, and KIX get nothing out of their EMP play. Talon storm on through to B, and Apudo, he knows where his bread is buttered.
Yeah, KIX do the other way around. Like every time they drop the bread, it falls buttered side down.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's just, that's not a good way to start your day, right? This is going to be the commitment now coming out of KIX. Self-destruct just kind of out into the void. Same with the EMP. This has been a complete whiff on the side of KIX, who have now thrown everything in the kitchen sink at this fight. The only thing they haven't thrown, which I suppose is the kitchen sink in this analogy, is the Transcendence out of Jazzy. Muse getting low, but In's holding on to his Transcendence just in case. And Muse was confident he wasn't going to go down. Huge discipline from Talon. All those ultimates thrown out from KIX, and Talon, they end up charging up their own without a single casualty.
The other thing is Talon just able to convert so easily as well. You see at the beginning of these fights, usually there's been a bit of trades both sides, but when Talon start getting kills, they get more and more and more, and KIX just do not respond. Now they're losing a lot of space. Final attempt on the B defense.
Transcendence from In just to get them on the point, and CQB just sound barriers out so they're safe. There's another EMP out from Apudo. Bashful does go down, but Shengjin Bao traded back for that. Now Talon just sitting pretty on the payload, looking to finish off Bravalab. That's going to be the next one down, and KIX at a massive numbers disadvantage now. Just start to fall to pieces. Woosik down, Casper hacks, finished off. That'll be a cap for Talon.
This is where Apudo's just getting so far ahead of Casper as well. KIX now losing a lot of space, losing a lot of time. Still 4 minutes and 18 remaining for Talon, who do have members so forward here, so high up in the face of KIX, who might just end up losing more members if they're not careful.
It's a really hard-bearing, isolation of Shengjin Bao. And Sonny tried to come in for the rescue there, ended up just losing his own life for that, and that just gives Talon even more space, even more momentum.
It's that picture of the truck that gets pulled in by another truck when they're trying to save each other on the side of the coastline. And we're Talon right now, next EMP coming on through.
Don't recall that picture, but this is
send it to you later.
Freight trains colliding as CQB down to a self-destruct, and a decent EMP did come out across the members of Talon. Finally starting to pay off here for KIX. They get the connection they need, and they also get the kills to follow it up. The chronic problem. It feels like they've finally, at least for this fight, solved it.
Slight stagger into Gagora as well. This is now going slightly better for KIX. Both teams running that Winston, quick swap from Muse onto that one as they approach this next attempt. First proper reset of the game as well on this map for Talon Esports for this offense. First time they've had to reapproach this offense to say, well, so technically second they did get reset on A as well, but in a long time, it's felt like Talon had not stopped.
And there goes Apudo's EMP, gets 5 out of 6. The only one he didn't get was Jazzy, who doesn't even have a Transcendence, but no follow-up. The shoe is on the other foot now, and Talon, a member down, thanks to Apudo going in for that. In gets picked off, self-destruct for to try and make some space, but unless they got kills, it would be a 6 versus 4. That just means Talon are going to kind of limp back.
And limp back with less resources than started with anyway. I do suspect there's going to be a bit of a change, so when you do see that self-destruct come on through, you start to feel like, well, Gagora wanted to get onto the Zarya. Apudo wants to stay on top of the Sombra, and KIX, they're well onto the 3-3 ghost now. Dropped their Sombra a long time ago.
Apudo still wanting to commit to it. They haven't got a good mileage out of it. That's going to be a quick Transcendence out of Jazzy after Woosik got hacked.
No kills though.
It's going to be a counter Transcendence from In. Really just both and Yard is looking to keep the team healthy so that they can continue to fight. Soundbearer is going out, self-destruct board, finds no one. So slight numbers advantage. Now bigger numbers advantage to Talon. They still have ultimates about to rotate up here. Muse with a shatter available as Woosik got nothing out of his. They find Bravalab's mech, and Talon very unceremoniously suddenly find themselves marching the payload to the terminus.
The best part is they still have so many ultimates. Earthshatter comes down.
Nicely caught onto Shengjin Bao. Now Sonny, alone on the payload, is going to have to die for that one. Casper, not even going to get close. Layered on ultimates, grab and EMP just to make sure no one has a hope in hell of touching. That's going to be Talon capping out Watchpoint Gibraltar. Let's see if KIX can measure up and do the same.
And the game plan from KIX was so strange towards the end there, the second to last fight, where they entered with the Transcendence. They wanted to make an aggressive Transcendence play, get on top of the other team, look for those kills, didn't find a single thing. Counter Transcendence coming through from the side of Talon as well. Stops KIX in their tracks, who then just have to start backing up. And when you do see Talon, as soon as they smell blood in the water, they do get right in the faces of KIX, claiming as many members as they can, and they don't have to use the EMP, they don't have to grab, they don't have to shatter, they don't have to use anything extremely valuable to pick up those kills, get the cut towards the end. KIX is still stuck in the spawn, and then suddenly you see all the ults being cashed in.
Now KIX on their own offense. They were unfortunately unable to cap that second point of Blizzard World, which is really kind of the closest example we have for what we might see out of them here on Watchpoint Gibraltar. However, this does play out a fair bit differently. We do see them looking like they want to opt back into that Sombra. Talon doing the same on the defense.
And I want to see momentum out of KIX as well, because that's exactly how Talon Esports have been playing against KIX. When you start sensing weakness in the other team, you just keep on pouncing, you keep sweeping them up from under their legs, putting them on their backs. For KIX, consistently being on their backs. They need to be the ones in the driver's seat, much like we did see in the early stages in Nepal, forcing those fights, winning those fights, and gaining momentum.
Yeah, don't treat it like a slow-moving payload. Treat it like a Formula 1 car. You want to be driving that bad boy, hugging the turns, steering it over the finish line. Where are Talon going to commit here?
Eyes on the Sombra players, looking for that opening hack. KIX not afraid to push early. Wait and see where Talon want to strike. It's going to be on the back line.
Yeah, there we go. Right as KIX started to split themselves up, they found themselves just a little bit thinned, and Talon saw a slight moment of weakness, a slight opportunity, and pounced. However, CQB does go down for that, but no, Talon are going to clean up the rest of the kills anyway. KIX are the ones left bleeding from the mouth for that one.
You want to see more trades coming through from KIX. Even if it was even, this would be in their favor. They have the closer respawns. They can do more with it. With Gogora taking down Casper, that's not going to give CQB time to regroup with his team. So KIX completely back to square one. Both teams going to reset with 6 members. Both teams back to where they were, and that helps Talon out a lot. That is not good for KIX.
Yeah, Talon, who, by the way, are also just a little bit closer on those critical ultimates, the Primal Rage, the Transcendence. Casper and Apudo have stayed relatively even in EMP, though. And that could be a real boon here for KIX.
Jazzy in trouble. This is where Talon, again, just forcing fights early.
Yeah, in and nearly on a Transcendence. So even if those counter trades actually start coming in or the damage gets too dangerous, Talon can just commit ultimates in. Indeed, they've chosen to do that with the Primal Rage to secure more kills, because in doing so, they've been able to charge up other ultimates. We see Apudo now rounding the bend and finishing an EMP. Gogora, self-destruct available.
And this is just Talon able to commit and able to take advantage of the weakness of KIX every single time, which is to say, if we start this fight, if we just pull the trigger early, if we go very aggressive against KIX, they have shown they are not able to deal with this. And every time they show they can't deal with it, more and more Talon Esports get that success. This time around, they do get a Apudo, but can they push? Can they get the advantage?
That should be a huge pick. And with that EMP, it indeed is. That is the mileage they've been looking for so far this series. You get a huge EMP like that, and you tidy up. You finish the job. And with that, they are now rounding the bend. Might not quite be able to cap off that alone, but they are underway.
And a big difference to what we saw last time as well, where Apudo went down, but so did Casper. This time Casper uses the EMP, but now they need to win a second fight in a row. Apudo's looking for his own EMP. It does connect.
Yep, straight on in. Good counter there from Jazzy. Xing Jingbao does still go down to self-destruct, and Wusik still a bit too far forward. Self-destruct in response from Bravalam, gets nothing, and he dies in the pilot form. So KIX get pushed rather off the cart just as easily as Talon got wiped rather off that former EMP.
You can see there as well, Apudo managed to get Sonny, so he couldn't use the sound barrier, but Jazzy was able to Transcendence. Gogora sees that he's able to use self-destruct, which doesn't care about Transcendence, so Talon Esports have the backup plans available. They have the alternate win conditions, and they do so. They're able to group up, they're able to continue defending. About 1 minute left, KIX are in trouble.
Oh, dive from Wusik does not really connect. Now sound barrier out, they want some space, they want something to go off to get aggressive. Transcendence from in, they see themselves just getting a little bit tighter than they'd like, and they demech Bravalam for their trouble. Casper's got an EMP, he's down, they finally finished them off. That was a critical kill on the side of Talon. Securing that has seen them tidy through the rest of the fight now, and then he like Apudo will be able to charge up an EMP of his own for the next fight. That's to say nothing of the rest of their ults.
And that's a huge fight win for Talon as well. You can see there, because Apudo is able to get close to the EMP, he probably gets it this fight, the final fight potentially for KIX. If they don't get this one, they don't get A, and they don't get the map either. Casper has to go off here. He needs to make a huge play, and it needs to catch a lot of members, notably Apudo, notably CQB.
And Talon are aware that this is a factor. They're not going to let Casper just get a huge EMP. They're going to try and stay a little bit separated, really juggle this high ground, keep KIX in a kill box, and that's going to be the EMP out of Apudo instead. No ability for KIX to get to the payload. Little bit of an unfortunate way to see it end, but on the whole, you've really just got to compliment Talon's play there. By the time we got to the end of that series, it was no longer the KIX we saw on Nepal who were really kind of taking it to Talon, and it was also no longer the Talon we saw on Nepal. They had accelerated massively. 4-0 now being the result.
And the narrative of this entire series as well, you do see from Nepal going all the way until Gibraltar, Talon just improving their gameplay. KIX being exposed more and more, KIX weakening more and more as Talon start to figure out their opponents, start to figure out where they are weak. And by the time you get to watch point Gibraltar, Talon just say, if we keep pushing the W button, if we keep getting the face of KIX, we will win. KIX do not respond well.
Really unfortunate way for it to end there. But as I said, once again, on the whole, Talon got to be really pleased with that result. They do come back in with this slight roster rebuild. First time that any Talon squad has had to contend with any significant kind of language barrier. We've mentioned it before, 3 nationalities, 3 different languages present on the team right now. That is a challenge, no matter the caliber of your players and coaching staff. So, good start for Talon. And as much as we talk about this being a rebuilding season, there is still going to be that question that lingers at the back of the mind for Talon of, they came into last season as a returning champion. They weren't able to repeat the success. The team that beat them out instead and got that win is now gone. Can Talon still get a second championship title here?
Well, the good news is Cyclone Coupling are in, so they get to replay that one. Cyclone Coupling knocked them out last season, so that team is there. Hong Kong Attitude are gone, so they're not going to get that one. But they're going to get the chance to maybe take down the team that did stop them. But it's a new narrative for this new Talon team. And I think this was going to be a very important match for Talon to kind of prove that they have the capability to not just match the old Talon, but maybe even try and surpass it, because that's been a bit of a, bit of a barrier for them to overcome. So looking at this squad now, you have the fact that an older Talon roster has won an entire season. It's a lot to live up to. You have old names on here. You have previous champions here. CQB just won a season. He's now on this team. You have Haru on this team. You have Gogoro on this team, who are also previous winners. That's 3 previous champions on this roster alone. And this was going to be the match where if you lose maps to KIX, if you look shaky against KIX, it's going to be concerning for how the rest of the season goes.
And you've also on this team as well, you've got Apudo. This is kind of his grand return. And you've got to say, he's one of the hottest pickups you could get for a team in this region right now. We've missed him dearly in the most recent season of Contenders. It's great to see him back. And what's more, it's great to see him in a situation where it doesn't feel like he has to one-man carry. It really feels like this is a powerful team that can both unlock Apudo and that Apudo can really mesh in with. He doesn't have to put anything on his shoulders. He has room to breathe, and the rest of the team is a very powerful unit.
And